podcast. Thank you. This is the number one podcast in the world that helps athletes develop proficiency and also assist in their passion for the game they love. We have a very own guest, very own coach that coaches up in Chicago, very own Travis Cox. He has also played for Amherst College up in Chicago. He also has coached for the hitting baseball organization in Wisconsin. And I want to say it's a delight pleasure to get some of my uh, fa- uh, wait, I got tongue tied over here. Travis, help me out. Alma mater. That because I'm from Proviso West. He's coaches also at Proviso West up in Hillside, Illinois. How you doing, Travis?
Man, I'm good, man. Happy to be back, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. I got a little tongue tied and a little excited because you also representing. I got the socks on, so I want to make sure I got the socks on so everybody knows that listen, that's the team that I
So,
used to represent when I was younger. And he's also got the shirt on, the red and black. It is a pleasure to get you on, man. I just want to talk a little bit about baseball. We're gonna talk about what's the difference of you going to play up in Amherst and also some other things. So let's start off in the beginning because you're from where I'm from, and most people don't know where that is. We're in Chicago, so suburb. But what is it like playing baseball in the Midwest?
dude, it's fun, man. At the beginning of the season, you don't know what you're gonna get weather-wise. It'll be 60 one day in the middle of March, and then 2 days later it's 35 and borderline snowing. So, once you get to the middle of the season, like late April, early May, and that weather start to break, it just make you appreciate it more and make it
Mm,
funner, honestly, because you just don't take it for granted.
right, right. That's interesting because playing baseball in Chicago is. Would you say that's one of the most popular sports?
Not at all.
I say that.
Basketball country.
Right, right, because we know at Proviso West up in Hillside, Illinois, that's where all some of the stars come from that play in NBA ball and play up overseas as well. And I want to talk about that because I was thinking about when I was playing baseball, which I didn't play any high school baseball because
Mhm.
I didn't have good grades. Just put it that way.
Gotcha.
I was a stubborn, rebellious little boy that barely made it through high school, but by the grace of God, thank God I've changed because it was bad. And for all the guys that listen to this and girls that listen to this, I strongly encourage you to keep your grades up. Always keep your grades up. Always keep your grades up. But you coaching is this different. I know that you played up at Amherst. Coming from high school, what was that like for your recruiting process when you're going through high school at Proviso West?
Like you said, because it's not a popular sport, I ain't gonna say it wasn't hard, but it wasn't easy either. I had to, because we weren't good. I had to kind of fight a little harder than most because we didn't have the exposure at the time. Providers, we were still actually pretty decent.
Okay.
They had a few guys that was kind of known. One guy was ranked in the state. This dude Byron Banks. He ended up going to University of Indiana, but at the time, any attention from this area was coming that way for that
Okay.
reason.
Okay.
You know, they also had a guy on that team who went to play wide receiver at Michigan State, but he was still a solid baseball guy as well. And it was
Okay.
like an all black team that was competitive. So I had to just make sure when I played against them, because 9 times out of 10 we was gonna face them and face that guy, because off the strength of them, the East West rivalry,
Right.
I try to make sure I showed my own. And then also with the conference being as good as it was, I knew that even though we weren't good, we would still get exposure because of the talent
Right.
we were playing against.
Correct.
So
Correct. Correct.
that made it a little easier to get seen because I just had to make sure I perform against them.
Right.
Yep.
That
And
sounds that sounds pretty good, Travis, based on what you just said. Because a lot of guys, when they have a bad team, they don't perform. But you just
it
gave.
actually motivated me. It was weird. I just feel like, man, why can't I? I'm one of them dudes that don't like would like. I don't mind being like a trailblazer or something, or trying to start something.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe my group or something I can do while my in my time at an institution could be the beginning of a turnaround. You
Correct.
know what I'm
Correct.
saying? So I
Right.
always look at that stuff as opportunity to try to show my own.
Mm-hmm. I like that because most kids aren't like that. They're
Hmm.
not like that. They just say, "Listen, the team sucks. This team is bad. They're terrible. They're horrible. Why am I out here?" No, you're out here because guess what? We got a team. We can compete. If you got at least five pitchers that can pitch, and throw strikes, and you got guys that can play the position down. I ain't saying they have to be superstars, which you can talk. You can vouch for this. We can play. We can make it
Mm-hmm.
happen. But it's a team sport. There is 9 people on the field, not one. It's not
Yep.
boxing. It's not boxing. It's not tennis, and it surely ain't golf. Golf is
Right.
similar, but you have to do your part. Coming from Proviso West, and you remember going through that process of trying to go to the next level. What are some of the schools that you were looking at, and how was that process?
I actually at West, I had a dude that graduated with me. I was a Division 1 player himself, like my center fielder. So
Okay.
we got a little bit of exposure from them going to see him. I ended up playing at Grambling and started for 4 years. It was pretty solid.
Okay.
But for me, just thinking how I was thinking, I knew like high major wasn't really in the cards for me, but I figured if I worked hard enough, me having the grit that I had, I'll work myself into being decent enough.
Right.
But I
Mm-hmm.
was looking more like a like mid, low major D1s. I wasn't pressed for like the big name. I was realistic with that at least.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I was looking at UIC real bad. I didn't want to like go away for college at the time. I just wanted to stay home still and just kind of commute to and from college and still get the Division 1 experience. And UIC was like the perfect place. It was 20, 25 minutes away. Um, Division 1 program. They was pretty competitive when I was in high school. I think that's when they still had Curtis Granderson playing for them. So they had a little bit of a black outfielder like myself. He
Mm-hmm.
just got drafted. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, man. But I reached out to them, but they never reached back out. So I guess I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
good enough, or they had somebody better on the radar, which is
Yeah.
fine.
Right.
So my one Division 1 look I had was Chicago State, and they came out the last game my senior year in the regionals.
Okay.
I think we was playing Morton. I don't know what made them come out or who brought them out, but I had a hell of a game. I was like 3 for 4, 3 RBIs, outfield assists. After the game, the dude gave me his card and told me to hit him up. So I tried to set up a visit. That's the very last game of my high school career. So that's what I'm like.
Oh.
I tell kids like you never know. Like
Right.
at that point, I was already kind of set on going to Elmhurst. They had been recruiting me all of my senior year. And
Mm.
they would periodically call my house, call my grandma's house to get in touch with me, stuff like that. So they showed the most interest. But again, me being thinking as a young 17-year-old, Division 1 come calling is D1. So
Correct. 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 I
you
mean,
know,
that's good what you just
I,
said
I,
because it sounds like you learned a lot from that. I
yeah,
mean, for the guys that are listening to the show, girls that listen to the show, this is episode 33. And we're talking to the very own Travis Cox. We're talking about high school, how to get to that next level when no one's looking at you, basically, and how do you make it happen? Because back then you didn't have social media, correct?
right,
I mean, I could only imagine how. I mean, because I didn't have social media, we had to write letters, like
yep.
physically write a letter to the school if you want to get noticed. And
That's what I did
also,
with UIC. The
yeah,
exact thing.
and make a phone call. Make a
Yep.
phone call. People nowadays they don't want to make phone calls. They rather just send a
Right.
little text or DM. Yes, that's a start, but there's more to it. Going to Amherst. You know, what was that like the very first year?
It's funny. My parents, I guess, parents know best, but they just looked at that and kind of made me go to Elmhurst. Because that when Chicago State hit me up, I wanted to go. Again, like I said, D1, I think I could have commuted. It was about 40 minutes. Um, I mean, they interested in you. I mean, they had just had a good season year before. They had a couple guys that was all region. I think one dude might have been All American, and so they was good. So, big culture shock day one. I kind of knew what I was getting into as far as the classroom setting, what that would be like. I knew the demographics, but I still thought when I got to practice, it would still be one or two other black dudes that I could just kind of like click with. And I got there and I was the only black speck on the field. It was one other dude. He was a mixed dude, but he was a pitcher. He wasn't a position guy, so I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
around him that much. So I felt a little like isolated. I'm like, it is what it is. I shouldn't be surprised. I know the school I'm at.
Right.
Let's just get to it. Let me go prove myself. Then one of the first guys that came to me and introduced himself, which shocked the hell out of me, was this senior. He had just the one I told you, he was borderline All American. He was like first
Mm-hmm.
team All Conference, All Region the year before.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the radar with the draft of possibly getting picked up. after the year. He came to me. Now, this is a dude from Mississippi. Yes, I'm talking. He's 6'3", 240. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He got the accent. He the first dude to walk up to. I'm like, man, I'm such and such, man. Nice to meet you. Where you from? And believe it or not, me and him related more than anybody else on the team. And that'd be the dude I thought I would have related to the least because
Right.
he went to junior college down in Mississippi. I don't know how he ended up at Elmhurst, but the dude can play. And he just said when he got here, it was a culture shock for him as well because he driving through like Merrill's Park and Stone Park, and he's seeing all the Spanish stuff on the walls and stuff like that, and he ain't never been around like nothing like that, so he had to get adjusted too.
Correct.
And me and him clicked, man. I started working out with him in off season and all that stuff, man. So it was a big culture shock, but that taught me a lot about prejudging somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Right. 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 Right.
So
Because it's hard to judge somebody because you don't want nobody judging you either. It goes both
right.
ways because a lot of times we unconsciously we judge a book by its cover until we read the book. We got to open
And
up
that
a
was
little.
me being young, not knowing better, because I'm coming from Proviso. It's, majority Black and Latino. I hadn't been around that many of them. So
Correct.
you only
Yeah.
go off what you see on TV. And he was
Correct.
the first one.
Yeah, and it's interesting you said that because coming from Proviso West, back then when we were in school, predominantly most of it was black, but
Yep.
there were some white kids in the school. I won't say one
Mm.
percent. It was more than one
I say
percent.
like 10.
Yeah, I would say between 10 to 15, but most of them were Italian,
Yep.
um, and a few Greeks. Um,
Mhm.
but then you had Latin, had Latin people at the school, Mexicans and Cubans, and
Mhm.
for the most part, coming from the same school, which we can elaborate. I don't remember any really racism from the school that much at all because we all were like, we grew up together. That's when you get to go outside and play with each other, and your
Yes,
mother and
sir.
father. It's different. Going outside. We didn't have to worry about. I mean, we lived in Chicago because it was violence everywhere, but still, the violence was different. We didn't have to worry about somebody coming out doing something stupid and being afraid we couldn't
Right.
go outside. But now it's just changed so much. The culture has changed, and also the baseball has changed as well. I mean, because like back then, you seen more brown people playing baseball
Absolutely.
in general, just even in Major League Baseball. You know,
Mhm.
but now it's has deteriorated, and we could talk about that as well, which we talked about that earlier, which we know one of the reasons why it is the way it is. But I think one of the things we have to learn how to do is just grow up and understand that everybody may not look like you, but we all can benefit from each other. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Yeah, it does.
Because think about how many black teachers we had.
Right.
I don't remember very many at all, if none. And if they were a gym teacher. you know, and I'm just saying that because I'm trying to get people to understand. I mean, I don't judge a book by its cover. I learn to do things the right way, give people the benefit of the doubt. Doesn't mean that you have to like everything, but you have to respect everything people say. You know, going into your second year at Elmhurst, what was that like? You still there, Travis? I think I lost him. I think I just lost him. Hey, I lost him. Somehow we lost each other, but we're talking today the very own Travis Cox, Proviso West head coach in Elmhurst. I'm sorry, and Hillside, Illinois. He has had quite a few experiences coaching at the school, and he's back. Can you hear me?
So I don't know what happened. Like the last 2 minutes, I guess I had disconnection on my end, so I don't know if it recorded.
It's all right. No, it didn't. It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. It seems like I got a little echo again. That echo came back, but we're gonna keep moving. But
Okay.
anyway, let's talk about your second year at Amherst College. What was that
Okay.
like?
That was interesting. At that point, we had my freshman we had two guys that actually made All American team. One was first team, one was second team. One was the dude I just told you about that I connected with. Um, One of them got drafted, the other one didn't. So we had a senior group that left, so it was kind of like a little bit of a reload, so to speak. And the opportunity was there to try to start right away. Um, That was an interesting year. That was an interesting year. The coach decided he wanted to be less of a power hitting team and more of like a small ball team. For whatever reason, he didn't think I could fit into that mold and play into that type of style of baseball,
Mm-hmm.
which was completely false. But I had to spend that year trying to prove that I could get in better shape, that I could bunt, that I could shoot the gaps, which I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why I had to prove that because I'm like I'm not a home run hitter, no way. I'm a gap hitter. Like I can make contact. I don't strike out a lot,
Right.
but it is what it is. I did what I had to do, man. Came in off of Christmas break in better shape than everybody else, killing the condition and stuff. Just trying to prove my point, trying to show my what I can do. Get to the about a month before the first game, and he told me I'd be the fourth outfielder. So basically, I'd be the first outfielder off the bench. So to me, I thought that was a good spot because somebody gonna get hurt. You gonna rest the guy here and there. You could have an eligibility issue, anything like that. Even if it's like a non-conference middle of the week game, I'm gonna play.
Mm-hmm.
I can let the chips fall where they may. Great situation to be in. All right, cool. Still do my thing in practice. I'm still performing like I've been performing and doing everything I did to earn that spot. But then
Right.
the week that we was about to go travel, I go to get my travel bag, and now he tells me all of a sudden that I'm not going, and I'm not going because I wasn't gonna play. So I'm like, man, where'd that come from?
Right.
I did nothing in practice to show that I should be demoted or not travel. You know what I'm saying? It just didn't make sense. So
Mm.
he just trying to tell me that other people was better or got better. And I'm like, man, I was around these same people. I'm not believing that. So there's something deeper. He wouldn't tell me what it was, though. I never got that answer. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and transfer, or at least look into transferring. And I'm going to save my year eligibility. You know, I don't want to take that chance. So I ended up not playing that spring. I just focused on trying to like look at my options of where to go for the following year, stuff like that. The season ends. The schools I was looking at transferring to, the stuff didn't work out as far as like scholarship or money. Like, or the school didn't have my major. So I ended up going back. And so the dude asked me if I was coming back or not, if I was interested in coming back. So I'm like, okay, this is weird because like you just told me the year before that these other guys were better. They still there. So why are you all of a sudden? You must have liked how I play if you asked me if I'm interested in coming back or if I've thought about it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So me and him actually ended up talking about halfway into the year and kind of cleared the air on some stuff. And it was some stuff I had no idea that was going on. I guess just some like he say she say. So why he didn't come to me directly then and kind of clear the air, I don't know. But whatever. So he told me that I would have a legitimate shot of playing a lot that next year if I came back. So we cleared the air and I came back and played. And we and him was cool, and I actually ended up playing
Mm.
quite a bit. So that was a lesson learned. With that was just kind of like watch what you say to people because you don't
Mm.
know who talking to who, you know,
Right.
because you just don't know what somebody's motives are.
Right.
They could smile on your face and be having a knife in your back the whole time. And I still don't know who said what, but
Right.
it ended up panning out. It was a good lesson, and I played ball the next 2 years and played quite a bit, so it worked out.
Well, that sounds pretty good because if you think about it, life is always giving you the Heisman Trophy, the hand. The question is, how do we deal with it, and how do we receive it and digest it, and be proactive from the situation instead of don't react, proact. Because what
Hmm.
happens is when we react, we mess everything up, and
Yep.
then all of a sudden you never know who's watching you. You don't know what's going to happen around the next block, and then you're like, wow, I just messed this up. Let me give you an example. There's a guy that played for the Miami Heat. I'm not gonna say his name. He was doing so good. He wanted to come over to Miami, and then all of a sudden, contract situation came up. He got the money, but he wanted extension. And so the head guy that put him in told him, "We're gonna negotiate." I'm paraphrasing it, and he didn't like that. So now he's gone. But now he
Hmm.
goes play for another team with many stars, because he was the star.
Mm-hmm.
So you just never know what's on the other side. The grass may look green, doesn't mean it's real. It could be
Yep.
artificial turf, and it might work out. But the point is, you've already burnt that bridge. You burnt it,
Mm-hmm.
and so I've learned to be slow to speak and swift to hear. You know,
Yep.
that's something I've just learned from trial and error, making mistakes, like you just said. I mean, because we all got a story. Because I
Yep.
remember days that I didn't play, and I would have a
Mm-hmm.
hissy fit, but they didn't
That's
know
what
it.
I did. That's what I did, and I didn't internalize. I told people how upset I was.
Right,
Yep.
and that's immaturity from
Yep.
me. From all of us. We all go through that. And then I thought about it. I mean, what happens when you're coaching? When you tell a guy you ain't playing today.
Yeah, I took that from that situation, from my experience with that. I took that as a coach now. That like, if I'm telling them, at least let it make sense though when you explain it. I don't feel in that situation that particular coach made it make sense
Hmm.
to this day. Like not until we had that conversation like
Right.
9 months later.
Afterwards.
But we
Yeah.
could have had this conversation previous to that season, sophomore year, and maybe it go a different direction. So
Right.
that was to me my also like my first time dealing with like politics with it too, because I always played with a black coach or with a black team.
Right.
The first time dealing with that. So a few of the schools I was looking at going to were like HBCUs, because I'm like, you know what, I would rather, if I'm gonna deal with the politics, at least let me possibly play on a pro level and deal with the politics, and I'm getting paid to deal with that.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like I got to get that first. I can't. That's a stumbling block. I don't feel like I should be having to deal with. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, let me go deal with that, and at least I know I get maybe a fair shake.
Yeah.
I just have to earn it,
Right.
and I get to that next level. I'll figure all the politics stuff out then. You know what I'm saying? Like for real, that's what I was thinking at the time. I'm like, let me. I don't get paid enough to deal with this. Basically,
Right. And
I'm
that's,
doing that
and
for
that's
free.
and that's life, and that normally happens. That happens to everybody.
Uh huh.
Everybody. And if we could do it the way we want to do it, it'd be a lot easier.
Yep.
It would be a lot easier. I started thinking about what you just said. You was like, well, why am I dealing with this? And I'm
Yep.
going through this. I went through the same thing, and I'm just gonna speak for myself. I was like, wait a minute. I'm a long way from home. I'm dealing with this idiot. I'm just talking.
Yeah. Sure.
This coach. I called him an idiot, and I was like, okay, why am I not playing? I'm too far away from home to be sitting the bench. Now, I'm older now. I'm a coach now. I had to sit back and think of the old little Savell, the 20-year-old, 21-year-old, and think about, okay, what was you doing at that time? I mean, I'm thinking you got to rewind.
Yep.
I'm not saying that everything he did was good or right, but it's how I responded. It could have still went the same way, but if I would have changed my attitude, how I responded, um, it could have been a little different. I mean, to this day, I don't even talk to my college coach. I talked to one of them because I went to a JUCO.
Okay.
He loves me. I mean, he just loved me. But my 4-year coach, he don't talk to me to this day. I mean, God bless him. I pray for him. Um, I don't know why. It could have been many reasons. I don't know.
Right.
But the point is, you know, unfortunately, we don't make the script of our life.
Right.
We just gotta walk the walk, you
Yep.
know. And that's why it's so hard to have your own plans. And I always say you gotta have God in your plans. You have God in your
So
plans, everything works out. The problem is we don't invite God until it's late. Okay, Lord, it's the ninth inning. It's 2 outs.
mm-hmm.
I need you to come in and bring me a hit.
Right.
God's like, no, I may do it, but may not do it. So
Right.
that's what we're talking about. So how was that senior year going to Elmhurst College?
You know what? We had a change in coach. So that coach, that very coach I was speaking of, he ended up leaving. So he had a lot of stuff going on personally himself. So when I found that out, kind of that stuff made a little bit more sense too, though, because that another lesson I had. I'm like, I don't know what somebody else going through either. So obviously he was going through a lot at the time himself,
Correct.
because he was a cool guy. I didn't dislike the man. You know what I'm saying? Um, but once we had talked and we cleared that up, we was cool my junior year. I no beef. You know what I'm saying? Let it go.
Mm-hmm.
I was just happy to be playing again. He gave me he was a man of his word. I got the opportunities. We was good. But we switched up, got a new coach. He moved to out of state somewhere. Um, and actually, me and him got back in touch like 5, 6 years ago. So me and him still periodically talk. He coaching at a junior college up in Minnesota. So I'm trying to like help him out with like recruiting. Like if I see somebody I'm interested in or that I think could play for him, I try to send him his way, stuff like that. So we cool. But we got a new coach in that came in, kind of the opposite of him. This guy he was more of a recruiter. Like he could recruit his butt off. I'm not gonna lie, he can recruit his butt off. This guy was more of a brainiac. Yeah, one of the smartest dudes I know to this day, honestly. He came in with a senior group, trying to put his foot down and lay his blueprint out on things. It worked out well. We got to conference tournament, but the senior group, we was just trying to win at that point. We had a disappointing year our junior year. We wanted to win, so we just gave him a shot and kind of tried to buy into what he had going on. He had his way about stuff. I learned a lot from him. I'm not gonna lie, learned a lot.
That's good.
So we ended up making it to conference tournament. We lost by 1 run in the elimination game. And then that was kind of that. But we had a good year. He kind of helped us get like from point B to point A.
Right. I get you.
Yeah. So he got all us to that next step. It was a good year, a real fun year.
So my question from that senior year,
Mm-hmm.
how was the transition going to real life? Because we need to help the
was hard.
listeners. How do they make that adjustment when that last game, that last play, and you are done playing baseball? What do you do next?
Yeah, I still remember the last pitch of my career too, where I was at. All that, it's crazy. But it was a little bit of a transition. I had in my mind that I was gonna like try to go to a few showcases and tryouts and try to see if I can get signed via independent ball or the major, the minor leagues. So I just kind of spent that summer focusing on that stuff. My plan was initially to go to grad school and go into physical therapy. So to me, school wasn't still over yet,
Okay.
So I had that in my mind. I didn't really think about like real life stuff just yet because I still got a couple more years. I know when I get done with grad school, I'll probably dang almost walk into a job. Wasn't worried about it, but then I ended up like shifting gears with my mindset on wanting to go. Once I learned about that GRE test. Yep. I'm like, let me take a year and kind of prepare for that, and I'll just try to use my undergrad degree to get a job in the meantime.
Correct.
It just didn't work out that way. Then I decided to, after a couple of years, to try to go into like being a physical therapy assistant because it was a little bit simpler process. I could still make good money. I think I waited too long with that to where my transcripts was too old and I would have to repeat some classes. It was frustrating.
Right.
In the midst of all that, I ended up starting my coaching career though.
Okay.
So that's something I wasn't even thinking about in college. The first thing from my mind was coaching. I was just thinking about still playing, point blank period.
Mm-hmm.
One of my teammates from college, he got a job out in the city as a PE teacher. They offered him the head job right away. It was at Austin High School. And since I don't live that far, he hit me up and asked me about helping him out. So I just did off the strength of like helping him out. Like me and him was cool.
Correct.
It was a black school. Like it's an opportunity to help out. I can do it. Get some extra money.
Right.
Like, all right, cool. I got there and started and realizing how rewarding it felt to see the kids get better off of your tutelage, off of something you told them.
Right.
It was somebody that looked like me. So then I'm like, man, you know what? Maybe I can offer something that I didn't feel I had growing up or in high school. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I feel like I had a void I could feel. So I started getting into that a lot. You know what I'm saying? I started learning. I was just used to doing stuff, and I had to learn how to verbalize the stuff I knew how to do. You know, that took some time to figure that out too.
Right.
But I started learning that kids receive things differently. You got to tell one. It could be the same thing, but you got to tell three different kids three different things, but you're trying to send the same message out. you know.
You're right.
So I
That's
like
true.
that. And I started learning how that I had this ability to actually connect with the kids. I didn't know I had that. um, was there for 3 years, and then one of my high school teammates, he ended up coaching it back at West once he got out of college. So then he hit me up about helping him out coming back home, so to speak. He was trying to eventually, in a few years, take over the program. He wanted me to be his right hand man. So why not? That's the crib. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Hmm.
I can go get back. So I ended up leaving over there and coming over here to coach, and the rest been history. I got there, did that for like 3 years. Then the head coaching position opened up because he went to coach a different sport. That's when I started looking into teaching because I'm like, man, you know what? I don't want them to give me an excuse to not get this job. So I started like substitute teaching just to make sure I could get the position to be in the building. From there, I started seeing in the classroom now how similar coaching is to teaching and vice
Right.
versa. And I'm like, I still got the same connection with the students that I do with the players. For whatever reason, it's a good quality, strength that I possess. And I'm like, man, it's actually not that bad. Like the kids still, like they funny, so you get some humor out of it. You can, make a good living. You can still like contribute to society, help these kids get prepared for the real world. And that's the part I like the most
Mm.
is that, you can help them get prepared for what they finna walk into.
I like
I
that.
don't know if I necessarily got that guidance, you know what I'm saying? Outside
Right.
of my parents, you know what I'm saying?
Correct. Correct.
So I'm like, okay, this is another kind of, I guess, a void that I could fill there, adding that
Hmm.
piece.
Right.
So I decided to go to grad school and get my teaching license. And I was doing that while I was coaching over here. And now I'm like 10 toes in.
That's good, man. That's
Yep.
good. I mean, that's really good because most guys don't do that. They don't know what
Yeah.
to do. They just give up. You know,
Yeah.
when that dream don't happen, they just say, "What? Okay, what am I gonna do?" And then they wind up doing other things they shouldn't be doing, which leads us to the wrong direction. You know, doing drugs, doing
Yep.
things that are very unlawful. You know, things that we don't have to go on and talk about on the podcast, but you know what I'm talking about. And
Yeah.
so,
I felt that was a journey that God gave me. Because it's funny that when I was in undergrad, my mom told me I should look into teaching and coaching. I was not thinking about that at all.
hmm.
So she kind of had a I told you so kind of moment. But I think that need to happen because I wasn't the most patient person with kids as a 22-year-old out of college.
Yeah,
So me going back and coaching for a few years and stuff like that, I was able to develop that patience that
hmm,
I would need to acquire to be able to be an effective teacher.
right.
I probably would have been one of them teachers that burnt out if I didn't do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And teachers are leaders. And no
Yeah.
matter what people say, they're leaders. And they're the lowest paid people in the United States of America. They're the lowest
Hmm.
paid, the teachers. You know, I'm going to go ahead and give out a triple, I'm sorry, a true triple play. I'm going to throw something in there. You know, this is the moment of I throw in this true triple play. And they say, why you say true triple play? This is some truth. A triple play is one, two, three. So basically, I'm going to give you one great baseball player that people may not know because I want to educate people. His name is Smoking Joe Williams. He was born April 6th, 1886 in Texas, and he died February 25th, 1995. He's also was 6'4" right-hand pitcher. He was one of the best black pitchers in the Negro League Baseball, next to Satchel Paige. And Satchel Paige said
Wow.
that. Also, he played for 11 teams, and he also played in Cuba, Smoking Joe Williams. And he also is in the Hall of Fame. That is my true triple play, Smoking Joe Williams.
That's dope.
Yeah, because I started doing that because I was like, man, this is educational. You know, and one of my mission, my vision is to help athletes develop proficiency and also assist in their passion for the game they love. So what does that mean? Give them tools about the game that they may not know that can educate them. You know, Smoking Joe Williams, 6'4" right-hander, the second best pitcher in the it's called the NLB, Negro League Baseball. You
Hmm.
know, he was great. And he's in the Hall of Fame. So
I'm
they
gonna have
don't
to look
put
him up, man.
yeah, Smoking Joe Win. They don't put chumps in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-mm, never.
So with that, being said, I'm gonna go ahead and throw a couple more questions for you. I got one for you. This is one for you. It's called the play a day. Tell me a play that you did or you seen in college that you get to that most people don't get to see. Can you tell us about it? Play of the day.
I play in college, man. Let me see. Oh,
It's a tough one, huh?
that is. That really is.
It's a good question.
That is, man. For real.
It's all right. It's all right. All right, I'll give you another one. I'll let you think on that one. I got another one for you.
Okay.
This one right here is Mount Everest. Who is your four players of all time would you put on the Mount Everest? Baseball players.
Oh, Willie Mays off top.
Willie Mays.
Point blank period. Best player ever.
Number one.
Yes,
Willie
sir.
Mays.
And then Jackie Robinson for
Jackie
the
Robinson.
legacy and the pathway he built for
That's
us.
two.
Um, whoo-wee. Dang.
You like Coach Larry got some good questions.
Did he some man, some heavy hitters. Oh my God. I'm gonna have to say Josh Gibson. I heard too many stories about what should have
Okay.
been, what could have been.
Josh Gibson.
So there's no way he don't, he get to play in the major leagues. He not up there. I can't see it.
All right, you got one more.
I'm gonna have to go with whoo-wee. Man, it's gotta be like Hank Aaron or Barry Bonds. Oh my God. Who do I go with?
You can do two. Two more.
I got to go with them two. The home run king, and then Barry Bonds was just
Oh yeah.
transcendent, man.
Oh yeah. For sure. Oh yeah. I agree with you.
Transcendent.
I agree with the
Yeah.
last one for sure. Because I'm a Barry Bonds freak. I love Barry Bonds. I mean, he is the man that I watched. And I
That's hard too. It's like King Griffey got to be in there
Yeah,
too. But it's like
yeah.
it's only 4 spots.
Yeah,
like
King Griffey is
he like the next person. I get extra
Yeah.
guys. It's Griffey. Period.
He's an honorable mention.
Yeah.
Honorable mention. Yeah, but we're gonna
But
go
Barry
back.
Bonds, what was he? 400 stolen bases and 700 home run. Like, come on, man. And he still ain't failed a steroid test yet. So
Right.
to me, he ain't
Right.
guilty.
Right. And on
I
top
was
of
thinking
that,
about it.
he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Exactly.
But that's another story for another day. I don't want to get on a tangent because I love Barry
Right.
Bonds. He's my guy. Back to the question. I have one more question for you. Post game. At the end of every game, you talk to your players. You talk to them. Say, hey, we need to discuss some things. We won or we lost. So this post game question for you. This is for you. You only have 30 minutes. It can be dead or alive. Which player would you want to talk to and ask that can help you as a player and a coach? You only get to pick one. And what would you say to him? Well, I got Travis Cox in the corner.
Yes, sir.
These two
Man.
questions, he's thinking. Post game.
I'm gonna say Jackie Robinson, man, because he played in the Negro Leagues, he played in the majors. He had to fight through the barrier. He had to go through dealing with going to pro ball, like with the major leagues, dealing with the off the field issues, trying to adjust with being with like white teammates. So he didn't play in all environments, all black school. Then he was educated on top of that with a degree from UCLA, And then he did all this and kept his cool. He never like lost his temper throughout all of that. And I know they threw the ringer at him and then some.
Right.
So just more so seeing, because I'm obviously trying to prove myself as a black coach in this game. Like I probably just asked him like how he navigated through that and adjusted to those different environments like that without losing, while keeping his composure,
That's a good. I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, if I thought about Jackie Robinson, based on when me and you just talking, we don't know him, but He had to have God in his life. He had to. There's no way.
Right,
There's no way. Just
man.
think about back in the day. You're the only black player. Everybody in the stands are white, and I love people of all colors.
For sure.
But you got to understand that does make you feel a little uncomfortable. But he had kept his eyes on the prize, looking at, I'm the forerunner, I'm the trailblazer, and
Yep.
he had to say, God's put me in this spot. And if it wasn't for God, I guarantee he would have lost it. He has to have God in his life. Come on, Travis. He has
Yeah.
to have God. There's no way. Who can deal with that? That's like
Right.
Martin Luther King. It's another one. He went through all the stuff he went through, you know, and this happened to be Black History Month,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So think about it. But Martin Luther
Yeah.
King.
To me, that showed leadership too, of him being able to do that. And then he got jealous teammates too.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? I look at that as similar to me trying to like get positions in coaching, and I've got to battle these other
Yeah.
coaches too. You know?
So that's so basically those two has been the forerunners for us in any culture.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't really matter. It just happened to be a black man. Big deal.
Yep.
So with that being said, we're gonna go back to that play of the day.
Okay.
You gotta go back to that play of the day. You gotta give me a play of the day. You gotta the
Damn.
audience like, man, I like this interview, but he never told about the play of the day. So tell us about the play that you did or you seen.
I can tell you about a play I did. It was my senior year. I forgot who we was playing against, but
In
it's,
high school,
you know,
or
this
college?
in college.
Okay. Go ahead.
There was a play. You know the old, the ball get hit right to you, you turn one way, but then you got to turn over the other shoulder and make that adjustment.
As an outfielder, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So it's not, you obviously on that play, you kind of got to take your eye off the ball for a second, then come back and get it. In college, they hitting the ball hard. It's coming right at you, so you really got to know your angles and stuff. So it's a play I haven't made a lot, but I know in BP I would try, working on making that play. It's a hard play to make. I never had to do it in game. So we was in the game. Late in the game was pretty close. I was in left field. Ball get hit right to me. I open up left. I'm running straight back. I see the ball start to tail towards the line. You know how that go. So, man, I turned the shoulder real quick and came back around and kind of shoestringed it. Like, went back right side, bloop, and that was out number 3.
Oh, God. He said shoestring. I heard that one in a long time. I
Yeah.
like that.
It was about
Shoestring.
like right above. It was borderline shoestring. I had to go get that boy I had to reach towards the line and go get it. I didn't have to dive, luckily, but I took the right angle. I was able to catch it on the run.
Oh, man.
And I just strolled right into the dugout like it was routine. Just whoop, caught it, threw that boy in, and ran in. Got ready to hit.
That's the Chicago swag. That's all.
Yep.
That's the Chicago swag. You just act like, oh, I do this all the time.
Yep. That's how I was in college too. And they messed with me about it a little bit like my freshman, sophomore year. But once they saw that I did it within reason. I wasn't like I didn't overdo it. I'm still gonna be there and work hard and do all the stuff and not cause no problems. So they just let me be me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, my. That's funny.
Dude, I have like my number embroidered on the back of my head, my number on my wristband. I was that dude. I was that guy.
Yeah. You had that Chicago Ricky Henderson swag.
Yep. That's what my
Ricky
coach my
Henderson.
senior year said too. He said I had like this Ricky Henderson flair. That was
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah.
But I figured if I'm gonna have that flair though, I have to play to a certain standard though. So that also kept me kept that fire inside of me too. I'm like, if I'm gonna do this, I gotta perform, so I can't look like an idiot.
Right. And it kept you engaged in the game. Because, I'm from Chicago, so everybody's listening. This is episode 33, Travis
Yep.
Cox.
I had to have my own competition for myself. Like I'm gonna do this, so I gotta play the part too. I gotta walk it.
Yeah. Because we know back then, it's a little different back when we would play versus now. The stuff they're doing now, we already did that. That's it's nothing new under the sun. It's just funny because I used to wear gold chains.
Oh, this okay.
I had a gold chain, but not the thick stuff. I had one of the herringbones. It was a thick,
Okay.
just flat. It was. I still got it to this day.
Okay.
And I used to go out there. It's like, man, I go out there, have my wristbands on, have one wristband on my catching
So,
arm, and I should have had some on my knees because my knees are still messed up to this day.
oh really?
I still got scratches on my knees, and I got a scratch on my right side of my butt cheek from sliding all the
Oh, you
time.
must have been a base stiller. That wasn't my
Yes.
game. I ain't have
Yeah.
to worry about
That's
that.
all I did was still bases. All the time. I ran a 6.360.
Ooh.
That's why I said my junior college coach loved me. He loved me. He said, "You do whatever you want." I'm like, "Yes, I'm in heaven. This is
Right.
heaven." I wish I would have had him for 4 years. I only had him for one because I transferred from another JUCO, and I was like, "Man, this guy is awesome."
Dude, I'd love to have a player like that, man. I'd be going work with, hey,
Yeah.
bunt. Hey, let's go.
Yeah.
Lay that boy down. Go get it.
Let's talk a little bit about this. The last two things we'll talk about is our favorite. Where are we from? Chicago Cubs and Chicago White Sox. So now we get ready to start spring training this week. Coming up. This week coming up.
Uh-huh.
My question to you is this: so, what are some things that you think the Cubs need to be successful this year?
Man, they not too far away. They just got Ryan Presley, like a week or two ago
They did?
from the Astros. Kind of solidified that bullpen.
Okay. But they got rid of
They probably-
they got rid of Cody because
They
he's on the
did.
Yankees now.
They got Cal Tucker though,
They got Cal
so they
Tucker.
still got that impact bat in the middle of the lineup. I think they probably need to get one more of those kind of impact power guys.
Okay.
Everything else they got, like they got defense.
They got a
The
farm.
pitching pretty solid from what I know of. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember he had decent enough pitching from the starting standpoint. Like I said, the bullpen, they getting Presley was a big move.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, as long as they got that, like I said, 2 years ago they had like 3 or 4 Gold Glovers, if I ain't mistaken. Was it Ian Happ, Nico Horner, and Dansby Swanson? I think.
Is he still with the Cubs? Swanson? Swanson? Okay.
They just signed him 2 years ago to a big contract too.
Yeah.
So I mean, they got pitching and defense. They'll compete if they can.
Well, they got the Reds in their district. I mean, in their conference. They got the Reds, Cardinals.
Yep.
Who else is in there?
Well, Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's horrible.
One more team too. Why is it not? I'm drawing a blank. The Brewers.
The Brewers. Brewers gonna. They're the best.
They are.
They're the best.
I don't know how the Cardinals gonna be this year because Arenado trying to get traded, but it's looking like that ain't gonna happen right now.
Yeah.
And I think that if they contending by the break, he gonna stay, and if they not, they gonna probably look to move him in.
Yeah.
So I don't know what state they in. If they trying to I don't know what direction they trying to go.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them really sign nobody, but I haven't really seen them trade nobody either. So I don't
They
know if this
haven't
is just gonna be a play it by ear type of thing.
They ain't been good in several years.
No, it was good a couple years ago. They just didn't make the playoffs last year, if I'm not mistaken. Dude, they still got Goldschmidt. They got Mason Wynn. They just brought him up last year, the black shortstop.
Okay.
That dude's solid, man. He's solid. He's nice. They got Contreras still catching. You still got Arenado. They still got some pieces.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened last year. I don't know if it was just a lack of pitching. I don't know what it was. It didn't.
It didn't click.
Yeah, but it wasn't from lack of talent. They got players.
When you think about the White Sox, Chicago White Sox, before we close it out.
I don't know what to think of them right now. They ain't signed nobody. They ain't. I ain't seen them really trade nobody to get prospects. So I don't know what. I know they're not trying to win, but it's like.
I mean, why they not trying to win, you think?
They were a couple years ago. I just think stuff kind of fell out of nowhere. I think the bottom just fell out of nowhere. Like a couple years ago, when they still had Tim Anderson and Eloy and all them, like people just kept getting hurt. They just injuries, man. Luis Robert.
Who was gonna coach them? Who's the coach?
Who would they sign? This guy Will Venable. He's a former major leaguer.
They need help, really bad.
They do. Well, hopefully this guy Will Venable. I know he a former major league. He played with the Padres for a few years, back during like the 2010s, I think.
Yeah.
when they had like Miguel Tejada and Chase Hadley and all of them.
Yeah, yeah.
So he'll be able to relate with the guys because he's been there and done it.
We may need to
So,
get Ozzy back.
dude, I love Ozzy, man.
Get Ozzy back.
I played men's leagues for a few years with his kids, so I met Ozzy a couple times. We actually had a camp about 6 years ago up at West where he brought him out.
Okay,
I had his son, Ozzy Jr., coach with me for a few years at West.
that's good, man.
I
That's good.
love Ozzy, man. I would love to play for a dude like him.
He's radical.
Dude, I love it. He ain't gonna
Radical.
cold back on nothing. He ain't got no filter. You gonna know exactly where he's staying. I got all respect in the world from type of dudes.
Yeah.
Like the dude at my like running the travel team I coach with, he like that too. This older white dude, he he don't care where he at, whatever on his mind, he gonna let it out. I love it. I love it. But it make them kids tough though because
Right.
he's real old school.
Yeah.
And that's why we had the success we have. So I
That's
love them
good.
type of guys, man.
And it's been a blast, man, putting you on here. You had some great information. We talked about the NLB, Negro Baseball League. We talked about the Cubs, the White Sox. Talked about your experiences. I'm quite sure the listeners learned something. Because I think when you were talking, I'm listening. It's like life skills.
hmm
I mean, because some guys we just talk baseball, baseball, baseball. But you were talking about baseball, but you were talking about life. And I was like, man, guys, listen to what he's saying. Just take in what he's talking about. He talked about the coach, how he felt, what the coach did, how did he respond. That's what I want to make sure that we equip the listeners, boys or girls, parents, coaches, equip them. Because everything on YouTube is not good. No
Facts.
no disrespect to YouTube. YouTube has a lot of great stuff, but some people are not giving out true content. I want to
Yep.
give you the truth because the truth will set you free. That's the bottom line. I don't need no false. I know no fake news. I
Right.
want the truth. So this is what we do at You Going Pro podcast with your very own Travis Cox, episode 33. It's been a pleasure, man. If you could close out with some closing remarks and I'll shut it down.
Man, I'll just say for kids that's playing, especially of our kind, to just make sure they take the life skills or the life values that come out of playing baseball too. Just the competitiveness, the dealing with failure, responding back to it, dealing with adversity, because we all going to deal with it, no matter how good or bad we are.
Doesn't matter.
The most talented black dude gonna have to deal with some adversity being in this game. So it's gonna prepare you for life. It's something I learned once I got out of college. All that I went through, I realized for a reason, got me prepared for the working world.
Right. You're right. I mean, that's profound.
Yep.
And I'm gonna add on something else what you just said before I close it out. It doesn't matter what color you are. Everybody's gonna go through something
Yep.
because we're on Earth. There's always going to be an issue, no matter if you're black, white, Japanese, Korean, Venezuelan, Mexican, Parisian, African. It doesn't
Right.
matter. We're all going to go through it because we're human.
hmm
It's
That's how you grow.
Right. It's something I said on my last, I think my podcast on my YouTube channel. I said something, and God just gave me this revelation. I said, we may look similar and we may talk similar with all different races. If we put us all together, all the brown folks, black people together, Latinos together, Italians together, if we put us all in a category, right? We get an eye test, just the eye test. We may look similar. And also, our blood is red. And what my point is, if you put your finger up there and you look at your finger, we all got different fingerprints.
Yep.
So basically what I'm trying to say is, just because we may look the same, we have the same blood, but all our fingerprints are different. It's interesting how God made us all different. So the point I'm trying to make is, when you're driving on that road, where are you being led? You either going north, south. You got 290, right? 294, the
Yep.
loop. You either going north or south. You can go east or west. But my question to you is, where are you being led? What do you mean, coach? The L stands for listen. A lot of times, young people, they want to do a lot of talking and not no listening. The L stands for listen. God gave us two ears and one mouth. And I know faith comes by hearing and hearing the word over and over and over and over. And once you hear it, the E stands for execute on what you just listened to. And a lot of people say, well, I don't have the answer. You got the answers. Listen, execute, which leads me to the D, dominate. Because, I mean, if you're from Chicago, we're going to dominate. But
Period.
most importantly, if you're a child of God, God put all these, He made all these people, you should dominate. LED, listen, execute, dominate. Episode 33, very own Travis Cox. He is the coach for Proviso West. It's been a blessing. Appreciate it, man. Everything's
Same
been
here.
great. I'm closing out. God bless. Never stress. Take care.
You too.